still bothering you, Herman?
Well, as long as I can still get around.
Hey! You will not go to the doctor.
Chutzpah, I think, would be a great word to describe my father. He had a lot of chutzpah. My dad went to Israel because he was so passionate about it. He was raised an Orthodox Jew. He was passionate about Israel becoming a state.
He was recruited in New York. They wanted him to come and fly. And he said yes almost immediately and called 4 friends who all said yes.
They didn't think about all the rest of the things, you know, what they were leaving behind or what they were risking. It was before he was married and had a family.
It was a dramatic time to be in Israel. There was so much going on and so much emotion involved. They brought refugees over. Every time they went to Rome or wherever they went, each of them would bring home a girl. Go through a mock marriage and bring them back to Israel.
I think my father was disappointed that he wasn't in the first mission, that there were 4 planes and 5 pilots, and he was the one who didn't go. In hindsight, one of those 5 pilots was killed, so I might not be here talking to you about it had it been my father. I think he was very proud of what he did. When I was growing up, when I was a youngster, they seemed like fish stories to me. I didn't have any real perspective on it until Ezer Weissman, I believe, was the first book that actually mentioned my dad by name. And all of a sudden, all these stories I'd heard my whole life growing up were in this book. Once I actually knew he really did all those things and that they weren't things everyone else did also, I just had a completely different view of him. My dad was proud of all 3 of his kids. And
He carried a lot of autographed photos of you around.
Yeah. In my movie premiere for my first Pee-wee movie, he said, "Oh, you don't care if I come to your premiere, do you?" And, "Dad, you know, this is my first movie. I created this thing. Yeah, you got to come." And he was like, "All right, I'll come," you know. It was covered live on MTV, and I was interviewing stars out in front of the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. Somebody came over during the telecast and said, "Your parents are arriving now." This is a wonderful thing for a son to see their parents get out of a limousine at your movie premiere. A minute later, I turned around and looked at him again, and he was maybe 8 deep all the way around him, and he was signing autographs. "Yes, I'm his father." And so it was nice for me.